Hey, Ram fans, got my Week 7 power rankings here for you. And before I get started, as always, are there any teams that we are going to tell, thank you for participating, your season is over, see you next year? Yeah, I got two more teams. We already had the Panthers, Bears, and Broncos. The Bears showed a little bit of life, and then they bounced back with a loss after losing Justin Fields. Broncos and Panthers, yeah, they're done, right? Two more teams I'm adding. The Cardinals and the Giants both lost again, and their seasons are over. I think everybody's got a shot week 0. These 5 teams have no shot. Their seasons are over. So we won't be talking much about them moving forward, except for this segment where we remind you whose seasons are over. So what do my Week 7 power rankings look like? Well, first I'm going to tell you who's in the green room. Our Los Angeles Rams, just outside looking in. I've seen them in other power rankings as high as 12, as low as 22, I think. So the experts, as they call themselves, are all over the map. I think I'd probably have them around 15 or so. They're pretty dinged up, so right now I'd have trouble elevating them to number 12, but man, they have looked good at times. Just need to put together a full 60 minutes of football. I also have the Seahawks, Jets, and Bengals right there, all of them on the outside looking in. And my number 10 team, and they are the new entry to the top 10, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-2. They bumped the Bucks. Jags in, the Bucks out. The Bucks lost a pretty convincing win by the Lions over the Bucks, so the Bucks are out. And the Jags 4-2 take on. They travel to New Orleans to take on the Saints. My number 9 team, the Browns, and I was tempted to move the Browns up, to move the Browns under the Jags, move the Jags to 9 and the Browns to 10. But how can you do that after the Browns just knocked off the undefeated 49ers? So I'm leaving them at 9. And remember, they didn't have Deshaun Watson, so do not slight the Cleveland Browns. My number 8 team, the Ravens, 4-2. They knocked off the Titans, played really good defensively in the red zone especially. Big game next week. They travel to Detroit. Man, that's going to be must-watch TV, the Ravens at the Lions. The Cowboys bounced back from that horrible loss to the 49ers and edged out the Chargers. Still not convinced if they're a real threat to get to the Super Bowl. I probably should have them below the Ravens, but they played good football. They looked really good against the Chargers for the most part. Dak Prescott was on once again. They get a bye this week before playing the Rams. The Rams for 2 straight weeks will play teams coming off a bye. My number 6 team, holding steady, the Buffalo Bills. They were 6 last week. That's what they are this week. They should probably win pretty easily at New England. Hey, maybe they won't. Maybe it won't be easy. On the road, divisional game. Maybe that'll be closer than we think. My number 5 team, the Chiefs, at 5-1. They host the Chargers. That's always fun football. And, these last 5 teams at the top here, you could really, make an argument for any one of them being number 1. I just haven't seen that dynamic offense from the Chiefs that we're used to. They're clearly, I think these top 6 teams, starting with the Bills on up, all of them are serious Super Bowl contenders at this point. But the Chiefs, they dropped a spot. Not sure I can defend that, but I dropped them a spot. The Eagles dropped 2 spots after losing to the Jets. A really good defense figured them out and really frustrated them all game long. Another big game, Eagles-Dolphins next week. Could that be a Super Bowl preview? Very likely, very possible. And, then we have the Lions at 5-1. I was tempted to move them up to number 1 because they are the one team without a blemish. They lost to the Seahawks. I'm not calling that a blemish. They were a little bit off that day. But, where is the weakness on this team? Some still might say Jared Goff, still going to be hearing that, but man, his numbers are pretty impressive over the last 16, 17 games. And this is another game this week, the Lions at Baltimore, that could be a Super Bowl preview. And then we have the 49ers 5-1 at the Vikings. They dropped from number 1 to number 2. And I justify that by really 2 reasons. One, they need to back off on Christian McCaffrey, giving him all these touches. They are just beating him up. And this is a team, kind of star-studded offense, but they lose one guy. They might be able to keep on clicking. They lose 2 guys. Man, they become a different team, and Brock Purdy becomes a different quarterback. And then you got the Jake Moody debacle. Had a chance to win the game, and he missed it. The 3rd round pick, I will remind everybody, the 3rd round place kicker didn't get it done. And my number 1 team this week, the Miami Dolphins, I've been tempted to move them up to number 1 for a while here, and I finally did it. They had that really poor performance against Buffalo. Now, the chink in their armor is how will they perform in a playoff game in cold weather? We'll have to see. We probably will see. But pretty exciting football team. I still think they're a little short of what the Greatest Show on Turf did. Very comparable, though. Kind of different. They get it done a little differently than the Greatest Show on Turf did. But I think the Greatest Show on Turf had more weapons, but maybe no weapon like Tyreek Hill. So there you have it. That's my top 10. Hey, if the Rams pull off a win this week, maybe we'll see them move up into the top 10. I don't know. It'd have to be a pretty convincing win, and it's no gimme. The Steelers are going to be a tough out. And by the way, speaking of the Rams and this upcoming game, make sure you check out the podcast, this morning's podcast, Wednesday morning podcast, our Rams Roundtable with Ian Martinez and Paul Walia. These guys really know football, and we bring them on once a week to talk Rams football. Good stuff. Please check it out. That's out. That's all here from Rams Up. We'll be back next week and do this again. Out here.